Forces are dividing us. There are two dominant and divergent pictures of reality. Take the CHAZ, or the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, recently renamed the CHOP, or Capitol Hill Organized Protest. Now is the time to pick your side. What is the CHAZ? Is the CHAZ a bunch of terrorists chanting ACAB, calling for the end of America? Or is the CHAZ a place where people come together for common sense solutions with the police and seek a better situation for everybody? So Trump, on the right, what's your take?
These people have taken over a vast part, a major part, a very good part of a place called Seattle. Seattle's big stuff. That's a major city. And we have a governor who's a stiff, and we have a mayor who said, oh, this is going to be a love fest. And by the way, these are violent people that took it over. These are not people that are nice people. I saw
Durkin, on the left, what should I expect to see if I go to the CHOP?
Many of them, what you'll see is a painting of Black Lives Matter along Pine Street, food trucks, spaghetti potlucks, teach-ins, movies, free granola bars. We've seen a lot of passion, and I know some of that passion is asking me, Chief Best in the city, to do better, to do differently.
Maybe, just maybe, both of those narratives are bullshit. And there might be a balanced perspective in the middle that doesn't distract away from efforts to build an inclusive, fair, and equal treatment for Black people. I was curious, so I set out to get some answers for myself. I visited the CHAZ a couple of times because I wanted to find out, is the CHAZ anti-capitalist? Is the CHAZ safe for people with conservative perspectives? Is the CHAZ safe for a Christian to visit? Is it safe to visit the CHAZ at night? Before we get started, let's talk about the call to action. We are at a point in history right now where forces are dividing us because that gets views. But it's also incredibly dangerous. And my call to action to all of you is to go put yourself into an uncomfortable space where you seek to understand before you seek to be understood. Build some bridges, resist the division, and finally, if this message resonates with you, subscribe to this channel and hit the like button. All right, that was a little over the top, but thanks for bearing with me. This is Restorative Capitalism. Let's get started. The CHAZ hit the Restorative Capitalism risk radar when Kshama Sawant from the Seattle City Council started saying this everywhere she could.
Racism gets its power from capitalism. Thus, if you're anti-racist, whether you know it or not, you must be anti-capitalist.
Now, in case you didn't have a chance to see my last video about the CHAZ, I tend to have a politically conservative perspective. I'm an economic freedom maximalist. I'm for a small government that prioritizes the individual over the collective. I believe our government institutions need to treat people equally. Authoritarian systems like Marxism and communism that would limit or prohibit my voluntary exchange of labor for compensation or prevent me from starting a business don't fit well with the mission of restorative capitalism. So I went down to find out if Sawant's statement was part of the protesters' platform. The first thing I found when I got to CHAZ was capitalism. Hey, how much are you selling those shirts for?
$20 here.
$20? Okay. And not everybody was on board with Sawant's anti-capitalist message.
I myself am not an anti-capitalist by any means, and I'm really glad to see the hot dog man selling spicy hot dogs down there for $6 a pop.
The more I talked to people, the more I found a lot of different perspectives. But the most surprising thing to me was that I found a lot of common ground with people there.
Yeah. And I know when I hear a message from some of the protesters that, like, you can't be anti-racist without being anti-capitalist, I can't really reconcile that. And trying to get that.
I don't think that's actually a popular ideal. I think that's an ideal that might be being blown up in conservative media. This whole country runs on capitalism. Are you telling me that all 5,000 people here are socialists? No. That's not true.
I was able to be completely transparent as a conservative with all of the 20 or so people that I talked to.
I'm a conservative. I have conservative viewpoints.
Absolutely.
And would you advise that if I was to go in here, would I be safe if I was to communicate that with somebody?
Oh, you will be absolutely safe. We try to be as welcoming as we can be. We even have this place called the Conversation Cafe, where a whole bunch of people just like brought some couches. You can just sit down, join in any conversation, and just express your views. Cool. I think that you, or really anyone who's interested in coming here, would be safe.
And while I wasn't able to find somebody that lined up 100% with Science message, there's definitely signs of anti-capitalist message at the protest. I encourage you all to watch the full video, interviews from the CHAZ, because each of the people I talk to have an important message to convey. Not messages that I'm totally on board with, but each of their perspectives matters and deserves respect. While I was at the CHAZ op, there was a skirmish that took place on the main stage. This is some footage I captured. I observed a man that appeared to go up on stage uninvited. It looked like he might have been trying to get a microphone. A bunch of people jumped in, tried to get him off the stage. It was tense. It was a bit rough. The focus of the crowd was to get the guy off the stage. So the crowd's reaction and the people on the stage appeared to be the result of this individual going up on the stage uninvited and being disruptive. Later that night, media started coming out about how the CHAZ was anti-Christian, and those stories were a direct result of this individual and the things that I observed firsthand. Here's a tweet that took place about the same altercation. This tweet asserted that anarchists don't appreciate the presence of Christians, so they choked him out. Look at how many views that tweet got. Now, there's more to this story than what I observed, but I have some more video of this preacher guy that none of you have seen yet. Let's take a look.
I apologize about that guy. He totally ruined my brainstorm.
Do you want a tent so you can do the worship?
First of all, let's say about that guy.
What you just witnessed was an organizer negotiating peacefully with the same guy, working to create a space for him, working to include him. Did you see that in the media? I suspect not. After I posted my last video, I had multiple people in the comment section encouraging me to go out at night and ask the same questions to see if I would have a different experience. So I figured, okay, I'll head down there, of course, keeping in mind that the police will only respond in the case of a mass casualty event. I was cautious and observant to pick up on any signals that I or my friends that joined me were not welcome. The first thing I saw when I got to the border, as some media refers to it, was basically nothing interesting. No weapons, just a couple of people standing there kind of nodding their head like, hey, what's up? How you doing? Kind of thing. I walked in, I started taking some footage, doing the weird selfie camera thing that I've got to be honest, I'd never imagined myself doing. But hey, comes with the YouTube territory, I guess. But then I ran across this sign. And it turns out, if you read this sign, what they're asking for is to get consent before you take video of somebody. That's already on board with the way that Restorative Capitalism does videos, so all good there. I talked to a few people off camera, and then I headed down to the Conversation Cafe, where I joined a conversation with a lot of great people that on the surface, politically, I don't have a lot in common with. It turns out none of them were comfortable talking on camera, and I get it. There is so much risk in how the media or some random YouTuber might spin your message. So I sat and I talked off camera. I also had the chance to listen, to hear their stories, to empathize and understand the motivations on how they were coming to the politics and the decisions that they were. I was open about being Christian, a conservative, and a capitalist. And guess what? I was welcomed. I asked if I was safe to the guy sitting next to me. I'm not going to say his name to protect his identity, But he said, you know what, man? I'll protect you no matter what. I got your back. And I find that inspiring. And now it's my chance to have his back by telling the truth. What became clear to me when I visited the CHAZ at night is that most of the people you're seeing on camera are the more extreme types. And it would be very easy for me to, with a camera, pick out a few outliers and try to paint the whole crowd as such. There are people in the CHAZ area with mental illness, as there are anywhere in Seattle. Any of Seattle's neighborhoods have these people. I could also take pictures of them and say, hey, this is what the CHAZ is. But you know what? That's kind of just like downtown Seattle any day. If you saw the news today, June 20th, you've heard by now that there was an early morning shooting in the CHAZ. 2 people were shot. So there's this live stream from Omari Salisbury, who is an excellent journalist. I'm going to leave a link in the description below to that live stream if you're interested in seeing the immediate aftermath of that shooting and understanding a little bit of what it was like to be on the ground at the time. Omari's been on top of everything happening in the CHAZ. Whenever you see the media, it's only going to be part of the truth. I encourage all of you to look at this as the tragedy that it is and resist the urge to spin it for your own politics. In the aftermath of this, so with my conservative perspectives, I support the police. If you're a police officer, this has to be a rough time for you. But I also support fair and equal treatment for everyone, as I suspect the vast majority of everyone does. I've personally grown a lot by reaching out and finding common ground in my little Chazercise experiment. My neighbor, who's a dear friend of mine, calls me a right-wing nut job, and he would have never expected me to find common ground with anybody at the CHAZ. I'm never gonna wholeheartedly trust a media group again on the right or the left.
I'm never gonna wholeheartedly trust a media group ever again on the right or the left.
So take that as an example that it's possible for us to reach out and find common ground with people that we might otherwise think we disagree with. So in the bigger picture, how do we solve this problem? How do we solve these challenges that we're facing right now in society? And I'll tell you this, it is not through violence. There is so much benefit from seeking first to understand before you seek to be understood. The only way we get there is inside of each and every one of us. Just like Smokey says, only you can stop forest fires, only you can lead the revolution, and it starts inside of each and every one of us. Question your assumptions, build bridges, don't build division. Talk to somebody that you don't understand, find common ground, subscribe to this channel, and hit the like button. Thank you for your time, and God bless you.